There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that.
And he's essentially telling people to suck it up.
The president urged the country to hang tough.
It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. People were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy. I know what the hell I'm doing.
The Trump cabinet has more billionaires and centimillionaires than any in history. The billionaires on the official cabinet have a combined net worth of over $13 billion. That is not including Elon Musk or his billionaire ambassadors.
These are some of the businessmen that we've been talking about that have been coming and going here in South Florida.
What the Washington Post says is an 18-karat gold Rolex.
The $50,000 Rolex on her wrist.
Noem is also taking heat for her watch. It's a $50,000 Rolex.
Access to cheap goods is not the essence of the American dream.
He is worth at least $521 million.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent telling Tucker Carlson that government employees losing their jobs now could work in factories.
That will give us the labor that we need for the new manufacturing.
The cabinet secretary who wants his cookies freshly baked. Quote, learn to regularly bake cookies for Secretary Burgum and his guests using the industrial ovens at the department headquarters. On at least one occasion, a political appointee was told to remake the cookies because the batch was subpar.
Billionaire North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
Let's say Social Security didn't send out their checks. A fraudster always makes the loudest noise, screaming, yelling, and complaining.
Should Americans brace for a recession?
Absolutely not. There's going to be no recession in America.
This man is worth $2 billion.
Fraudsters yell the most.
Yeah, that necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity.
It's not just a company, it's actually an individual. he made $2.5 billion today, and he made $900 million. That's not bad. He's in financials. I've always been following.
Egg prices rising 40%.
The price of eggs keeps going up, and Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins has a suggestion.
And people are sort of looking around thinking, wow, well, maybe I could get a chicken in my backyard, and it's awesome.
Is she unaware that many Americans live in apartments and they don't have a backyard?
Donald Trump is ruining the economy on purpose.
I find that I do better in bad markets. I buy things. Find that I do better in bad markets. I buy things in bad markets. And you can't do that in a great economy. You can't buy it. Either you're going to buy it very expensively or not be able to buy it at all. So there's a lot of opportunity I find in the bad times.
Now, for Howard Lutnick and Elon Musk and Donald Trump and everybody that surrounds him at Mar-a-Lago, they can ride this out. Regular people cannot ride this out.
The federal government cut 216,000 jobs in March. Today's and the president's downsizing effort has already hit home on the ground.
Your people are suffering. People are being laid off.
U.S. employers cut 172,000 jobs last month, 103% increase from a year ago, double the number of job losses. Surging prices are hurting Americans.
Long-term, higher prices and worse jobs and slower growth.
Trump told NBC he, quote, couldn't care less if they raise prices. I couldn't care less. I hope they raise their prices.
It just shows you how much he doesn't care. He doesn't care what's happening to people's 401ks.
Everyone's lost how much money in their 401k and he's golfing? Seriously?
He is currently golfing here in real time.
What we're seeing in his attitude is more closely to Marie Antoinette of let them eat cake. And he could care less.
I mean, he doesn't care. He totally does not care what harm he does. In fact, he gets off on it.
This is like Nero playing the fiddle as Rome burns. This is Marie Antoinette with a lot less hair and a lot more makeup saying, let them eat cake. If you voted for him and you think he cares about you, he doesn't.
He won the heart of the working class, and now he's stabbing them in the back with higher costs on everything that they eat, drink, wear, drive. He's hurting the very people who put him into office, and that is bad politics as well as bad economic policy.
The president says he doesn't care if the prices go up on U.S. cars. So what's the message to the U.S. consumer?
Trust in Trump. Republicans can and should stop this.
This is your 401k. This is money that you have invested, and the Republicans right now are not showing any spine.
The VA budget and staff cuts are already taking a toll on veterans' health care.
In appointment wait times can be up to 4 months now.
Veterans around this country are pissed off.
What is your fear here if male or female veterans aren't getting appointments fast enough?
That veteran suicide rate is going to go up.
VA Secretary Doug Collins vowed to eliminate 15% of the workforce, as many as 80,000 employees, a move critics argue will hurt veterans the most.
Speaking out about how cuts to the federal government are hurting vets, President Trump has promised not to directly cut veterans' benefits, but the veterans themselves say the impact will harm them in the long run. News 8's.
It has said it wants to cut 80,000 jobs at the VA. Veterans say things already move so slowly that some cases take 3 years to be handled by the VA.
But the federal government does not exist to employ people.
This administration has proved itself to be the most anti-veteran administration ever.
Veterans, we're under attack.
Local small businesses are already feeling the effects.
And then you have just the complete uncertainty for small businesses.
Small businesses are being abandoned.
We still don't know the full impact of Trump's tariffs on American businesses, but the damage is already done for some.
And that's not good for small businesses. That's not good for the markets. That's not good for certainty. And that's not good for the president's credibility.
It is chaos. It is impossible for business owners to effectively manage their businesses in this environment.
I don't know. That's the problem. Okay. No one knows because it's really up to one man who's in charge of all of it. And so because we don't know, it's harder for businesses to plan. It's harder for consumers to plan.
It's hurting the American people and it's hurting small businesses, and there will be layoffs and people will lose their jobs. And that is the problem.
We can't operate a business not knowing what our prices are going to be when we landed here.
Gaps. We are going to see products with shortages. We are going to see products with significantly higher raised prices. We are already going to see in the next couple of weeks here small businesses that have to close, even with this pause. This pause is uncertainty. The damage has already been done.
But a small business like mine will be out of business before the end of the year if things continue on this path.
They want to deprive millions of people of their health care through Medicaid so they can pay for tax giveaways to the rich.
The richest man on earth is firing veterans, taking their salaries and trying to hand it out in the form of tax breaks to his billionaire buddies. And he wants to eliminate billions of dollars from Social Security, deny seniors their benefits by calling them fraudsters, and channeling money to himself in the form of government contracts.
$1.5 trillion in cuts, largely gutting Medicare and Medicaid.
They need that money in order to give Elon Musk and their billionaire cabinets and the other group of their rich friends the massive tax cuts and taxpayer giveaways that they promised. They are going to have to raid Social Security.
President Trump is trying to deliver an unprecedented giveaway to his billionaire friends.
But what he does care about is what people that donated to his campaign think, people that could cut him a check personally think.
Implement a massive $4.5 trillion tax cut and slash between $1.5 and $2 trillion from the federal budget.
And Musk have aimed their wrecking ball at public schools to pay for tax handouts for billionaires.
Congressional Republicans are moving full steam ahead with Trump's plan to slash taxes for the rich at the expense of average Americans. A $3.8 trillion tax cut for the very wealthy in our nation.
Numbers that he is cutting to finance a tax cut for himself, Trump, and the other oligarchs.
The richest man in the world's coming for our Medicare and our Social Security.
$4.5 trillion in tax cuts, which go to the wealthiest 0.1% of Americans. So not
to pass the largest tax cuts in American history, and that's where we're relying on
10,000 workers at the Department of Health and Human Services are being dismissed. Health Secretary Robert Kennedy says he plans to do more with less.
There are now 642 confirmed cases across 22 states.
Leaders took to the streets in all 50 states, 1,200 locations in all, for what organizers called a hands-off protest. Nicole.
He's big and small, a sea of people. Oregon to Ohio.
The only way you can change is if people get out and make their voices heard.
Signs of anger directed at President Trump and his policies.
And they're doing it all. They are doing this all so that they can fund their next round of giveaways to their fellow billionaire buddies.
If eggs are too expensive, maybe get a chicken.
I was talking about recession 4 months ago. People were talking about recession. Why? Because of the policies of one man. One man.
That the current economic panic and crisis is driven by one man and one man only. Team Trump.
Cutting people at the FDA. You're not going to have food inspections.
Trump dodging questions tonight about whether he engaged in insider trading. Trump refuses to address allegations of insider trading connected to his sudden pause on massive tariffs. You don't get a spike like that right before something like this, generally unless people know about it. The public learned about it at 1:18 p.m.
He's made very clear this is a one-man show. This is up to what he decides on any given moment he's going to do. And
What was the point?
This has all been the making of one man, President Trump, not something from the outside, but rather a political creation, a problem that he made for himself. Let's just take it.
This crisis would have been directly attributable to only one man, Donald.
The potential economic crisis, and this one would ultimately have been produced by one man, by the president himself, before they backed off.
He privately acknowledged his trade policy could trigger a recession.
You're going to have hospitals close all over the country, especially in rural areas.
For some farmers, everything right now is at stake and is plummeting the wealth of this country.
We proudly stand with President Trump, Elon Musk, and their Doge efforts to what is an extremely important issue. Your Social Security is not under attack. Medicare is not under attack. Veterans' benefits are not under attack.
WTF? Who's in charge? Will lead to high prices for U.S. consumers and a potential slowdown of the American and global economies.
Americans here are concerned that the Trump administration will try to reduce Social Security benefits. We spoke
coming in with a wrecking ball and destroying people's lives for no reason.